Welcome back, Cowboys Nation. Happy Victory Monday to all, and happy October Eve. Today, we are going to be recapping the Cowboys' dominant 43-20 win over the Los Angeles Rams at home yesterday. Really big game for the Cowboys. All three phases of the game were dominated by the Cowboys, which is just things we love to see. Other things that we love to see. Shout out to Mr. 94, DeMarcus Ware, not DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
DeMarcus
Thanks,
Ware.
Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. That was a tough look. But yeah, shout out to 94. Beware of D-Ware. And I guess my first question is, this is Sean McVay's first game as a head coach since becoming a father. Is his kid destined to be a loser?
Yeah, I mean, someone has to ask the question, did this new kid not only bring new life into the world, but did he bring a curse as well? Because some are saying
Some are
that
saying, yeah,
yeah, that this is a curse. Some are also saying like, I don't know, maybe because this is McVay's worst loss as a head coach thus far, if I'm not mistaken.
that
I'm
would make sense. Makes
yeah,
sense.
and honestly, like that was probably one of the more comfortable games we've had this year. We made them look like compare that to like the Giants game. Like after the first quarter, it was like a sit back, relax, scroll through Twitter, like with
Yeah.
just with a smile on your face. And
hmm
so, I mean, yeah, you have to ask the question: is McVay cursed now that he had a kid?
that's what some people are saying. It was just, I mean, just from start to finish, I mean, it was just awesome. I mean, we didn't have our first punt until 8.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's a
That's
pretty awesome
nuts.
thing. Granted, we had the one interception, which that wasn't Dak's fault. I mean, it was a tough play, but when you have
It
a
was okay. It wasn't like a bad read, bad throw by Dak, but I
he
think
should have waited.
that
He should have waited a
the
second.
decision was a little bit rushed.
Rushed. Agreed.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to say like it's not on Dak and like those plays never happen. It's an unlucky interception, but
Agreed.
like
Yeah, that's a better way of phrasing it. Yeah.
it's just because it got tipped by the D lineman, and then it was like the stereotypical Cowboys tip drill when we're on offense where Sean McCown just tips it like perfectly up like he's a volleyball player trying to set a
Yeah.
spike. And like as soon as I saw that, I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like you'd already know. Like I think we saw Noah Brown do that a couple times last year. Hendershot did it
Hendershot.
against
Yep.
Tennessee. Like it was just one of those plays. But other than that, and other than Tyron Smith being a game time decision who didn't play, which I'll get to in a moment, um, those were probably our only negatives. It was a day filled with positives, and which is good for the boys. It's just good for the boys.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was an awesome game. Do also want to point out, obviously Clayton is not here today. Clayton was on record, backing this guy. Massive same game parlay for Stafford.
Big Stafford guy.
Yeah, so Clayton's pretty torn up about that one. Pretty brutal homecoming for Matthew Stafford. I mean, you lose by 3 possessions and get knocked out of the game with I haven't checked the injury report, but I'm assuming like broken thumb probably, or at least a pretty gnarly sprain.
They said it was a UCL of thumb sprain.
Okay, so that doesn't sound like it feels good per se.
No.
Yeah, but yeah, so Stu's no show today. I probably didn't even go into work. He was so torn up about his ride or die day one Highland Park neighbor, even though he never lived there, Matthew Stafford. So
Yeah, like he's a ride or die for Matthew Stafford, and like
yeah,
it sucks because Clayton he didn't even celebrate the win. He was celebrating the Stafford loss that goes on
yeah,
Stafford's record more so than
right,
anything. And
yeah,
so if you guys know Clayton, just keep him in your prayers as he's going through a tough Matthew Stafford loss. But
yeah.
other than that,
He's definitely not like at home, like relaxing and preparing for the World Series game or anything. It's definitely because he's torn up about Matthew Stafford. Definitely
yeah,
that.
for sure, for
So
sure.
don't even think that it's something else because it's not.
Yeah, I mean, some might say it's something else, but like if you know him, and being most people would say
Right.
Matthew Stafford related.
Of course.
But let's get Jack Harlow's on the Monday Night Football thing. That's odd to look over and see.
Okay.
But we'll headline Thanksgiving halftime for Ford Field. That's a unique halftime for Thanksgiving. But Berkey, starting off with the offense, this was just a game where I was in a rush. I was coming home. I was smoking some beef ribs, so I didn't get to see our first drive, not on my phone. So I was looking away, not paying attention. But I know the game started off a bit rough, and we got bailed out on the first drive by a illegal contact call that negated a third sack on the opening drive.
Yeah.
And two of them from Aaron Donald. But ever since Dak found that touchdown to Ferg, he was on. And
Oh yeah.
it's so crazy that if you're a Cowboys fan, you'd know. Like, you just know within the first two drives what kind of game it's going to be out of Dak Prescott. And for better or worse, I'm not sure if that's necessarily a good thing, but it was one of those games where he was on and he was confident and he was slinging it. And we used our playmakers. CD went off. I would like to see the run game get a little more established. It's kind of been like a little glaring, just like dark hole in the back of my mind at the end of every single game. And I don't want to split ass hairs on that because we destroyed the Rams. But I would like to see a little more better plays drawn up in terms of the run game. But overall, I have just because you know me and I like stats, CD Lamb went off. That was the best game CD Lamb had wearing a Cowboys 88. It was just great to kind of see him and just be that alpha, you know? And just coming in, and I just want to frame this as a question. Burke, how many times a game before the Rams game do you think we utilized pre-snap motion? How many plays?
Gotta be like less than 10. I'd
Yeah.
say I'll say 8.
5.5 out of 33 plays. Against the Rams, we ran 18 plays that had pre-snap motion. And I don't want to say I told you so. And I don't want to say that Jerry Jones is an AWL to Dallas Ballers Club. Same with Mike McCarthy. But
and Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah, it just opens up so many possibilities when we use that pre-snap motion. And just seeing CD get mismatches. And don't forget, this is a Rams secondary that might not be great on paper, but they allowed one passing touchdown before this week, and Dak Prescott threw for 4. So that's insane.
I didn't know that, actually. Wow.
Yeah. Akella Witherspoon and the other corner they have were top 10 in grades according to PFF, so take it that way you will. But Dak looked great. CD looked great. And you texted in the group chat, Brandon Cooks looked great. And just great to see. Great to see. Did you happen to see that one quote that came out about the Brandon Cooks touchdown?
No, I did not.
So Brandon Cooks went to the sideline and told Mike McCarthy if they did a stutter go route, that would be a touchdown. Now the next play was a touchdown.
I can't wait to see that on Sounds from the Sideline this week. That's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be awesome.
That has to be put in there.
And overall, great game on offense. One glaring elephant in the room is Tyron Smith's health. Apparently, he said he was fine and good to go. And I'm not sure if this is a little gamesmanship by Mike either, and I don't want to get off topic too much. But he said allegedly the training staff were the ones that shut Tyron down, not Tyron. So Mike said he's not practicing Wednesday, but we'll see by Thursday if he's good to go. Something tells me there's a little bit of gamesmanship with that.
Mm-hmm.
Our next 3 weeks, just not obviously don't want to look past Philly, but it's like Carolina and games like that where Carolina, Giants, and someone else. But
I don't have this. Oh wait, it'll be the Carolina Giants and Washington, right? Don't we play Washington Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
And I
that's
don't want to
right.
say,
I think that's right.
yeah, I don't want to say that's a cakewalk by any means because it's the NFL, but I mean, those are
Yeah.
games we should be winning. So if Tyron could play against Philly and we could sit him the next 3 weeks, is what I'm getting to.
Mhm.
I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat. Um, it's almost like Tyron Smith is our Kawhi Leonard, where we're just like game managing. Like if it's a big game, he's gonna play. But if we're playing like, I don't know, the Orlando Magic, or I don't even know who's bad in the NBA, but if we're playing the Houston Rockets, we're gonna sit him. You know?
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Um, yeah, the offense was awesome. It's funny because I mean we all know that about Dak and you know how you can pretty much tell pretty early on what kind of game it's going to be. And that first drive, I know that the illegal contact play, it was, you know, a little bit questionable, but you know, I'm
Some
not
say
gonna,
bailout, but
yeah, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like we haven't been on the short end of that stick most times. So I don't like I'm not going to apologize for what the referees called. You know, we're not going to apologize for that.
we're a
But
pro referee podcast for at least last week.
we are, as of we haven't said anything bad about the referees in the last week
Yeah.
or
So we're pro
since.
referee.
Yeah, as of week 8, we're in on officiating.
Yes.
Yes, but that potentially subject to change. But as of right now, we're in on NFL officials. Um, Also wanted to point out, so we may have had the script again this week. We nailed our predictions last week, like
Yeah.
across the horn, both sides of the ball. You were all over the Ferguson breakout game. Wasn't necessarily like a massive game for Ferguson, but I mean he had that touchdown, which I really thought when he came down with it, I thought he dropped it, but
Yeah. Same.
obviously was very glad. But no, Ferguson was awesome. He played great. That was our first one that we nailed. I nailed Brandon Cooks that he was going to have a good game. His best game as a Cowboy. He had obviously the touchdown. He had a couple big third down, or he had. I think he finished with 3 catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown. And I said he was going to have like 4 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. So
Great game out of him.
yeah, and so he had the touchdown, and then he had one crucial. Well, I guess it wasn't really crucial because it was a blowout, but at the time it was a big third down conversion, and then he also had a fourth down conversion as well, which is what I said last week, which is that it was going to be a lot like the Chargers game, where it was, you know, when we had to get yards, we were going to get him the ball, and he did that. And then Clayton was right on the brink of nailing Micah Parsons 2 sacks and a forced fumble. The the strip sack he had on Stafford unfortunately got called back. But besides that, I also nailed the Deron Bland pick
Pick
six
six.
call, which was
And
pretty awesome.
if that Stafford fumble was a fumble, guess who my hot boy of the week
I know
was?
it was
That
Jordan Lewis. It
yeah.
was Jordan Lewis.
Like we were very, very close to
Yeah,
shooting 100%.
yeah, which was pretty awesome. And I like that you said shooting 100% because that's pretty much how the Cowboys looked for almost the entirety of yesterday. I mean, when you put it was what 43 points on the board, and we had one defensive touchdown and a safety. So, I mean, the offense was awesome yesterday. There's just not really things to nitpick about. Did notice that, as we kind of predicted, that Jalen Tolbert did see an uptick in his snap count, which
Yep.
was a good sign. I will say for Michael Gallup, I know we absolutely torched him last week. Still a great guy, obviously. We like the guy. It's just, if we were a rebuilding team, maybe we give him some more reps. But this is a team that's in win now, obviously. And, you know, look, I'm not going to keep going in on Gallup, but he was blanketed yesterday as well. I mean, it was tough. He was only targeted 3 times, caught 2 of them for 20 yards, but the one incompletion was like a typical play call, like a little, 9-yard curl route, and guy was all over him. So, but other than that, I mean, the run game is something that is going to have to be addressed. I feel like it's kind of a little bit similar to how we treated the red zone offense, where it was like beginning of the year we were talking about it and we're like, hey, this could be an issue, and then it blew up in our face and it was like, okay, it's officially a problem. Like, hit the panic button. I kind of feel like, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, but I kind of feel like we could be potentially heading in that direction with our rushing offense. Like, at what point do we need to take a step back, especially coming off a bye week? We thought this was going to be a big game for our rushing offense, and it wasn't awful, but it wasn't great. So, my question to you is, at what point do we need to really panic and say something major needs to be addressed in our running game, whether that's scheme, whether that's blocking, whether that's play calling? Give me your thoughts.
See, I'm split because yes, our run game isn't like it isn't. We were spoiled with Zeke and with DeMarco Murray, and even with Darren McFadden's 1 year of just a dominant run blocking offensive line.
Alfred
But
Morris too.
yeah, Tony Pollard averaged 4.4 a touch, and basically what we're just missing is that like home run ball out of Tony Pollard, and we wouldn't be talking. And so that's why I want to say I'm cautious because our pass game, the way it was yesterday, if we were playing a closer game, our run game would get opened up from that pass game. And so I think it's teams respecting our run more than our passing game is why our run game has been lackluster, if that makes sense. We're running into open boxes, we're running up the middle, and we got to start utilizing Tony Pollard similarly to how other teams are utilizing their running backs. Like, obviously, my mind goes straight to Devon Achane, where they're not running him up the middle; they're running him according to his
Outside.
strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our offensive linemen could all pull; they could all move, and so let's just try to get them a little more into space rather than run up the middle for 3 yards every time. Because I mean, shit, if that was the case, why did we cut Zeke? That's exactly what he's
Right.
good at. And
Right.
so I think the issue lies more directly in teams haven't been respecting our pass offense, and hopefully this sets them up to have to respect them more, and it
Right.
sets them up for, wow, Brandon Cooks is a threat now. Wow, CD Lamb is a threat now. We can't stock boxes anymore, and it just gives the defense something to think about. And so, to answer your question, I think I am a little worried, but I think we're going to figure it out because we're taking steps in the right direction. Because 4.4 yards a carry is pretty damn good out of the running back.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I like how you said that. It's that I think we approach it with caution. Um, I also don't think it's really time to panic yet. And I do fully agree with you that, especially with the way our air attack looked yesterday, it's not as big of an issue as if, let's say Dak had an off game yesterday, and this game was like a really close, low scoring game in which CD didn't put up a career high in receiving yards yesterday, or Dak didn't throw for 4 touchdowns. Like
Yeah,
what you said with, especially when Cooks and CD Lamb and Ferguson and those guys really get going, and our threat of beating you through the air is so major. It is going to open things up for Pollard and for the running game. And my last note on offense is that we talked about Dak in that after the Chargers game, and we talked about how him getting outside the pocket, using his legs a lot more, whether that's running or whether that's when the play breaks down, getting out, making plays on the run, that's when he's at his best. And he did a lot of that yesterday, which was
yeah,
awesome. That second touchdown that he had to CD Lamb, where he rolled out to his right and found CD just sitting there by himself.
naked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that is when Dak is truly at his best. I think we've seen it over the years, and we've seen multiple examples of that now. When he just stands in the pocket like a statue, like doing his best Ben Roethlisberger impression, just trying to be a pure pocket passer. That's when he's going to get into trouble. It's when he's able to just be a little bit more free. And I know you like to use the term like backyard football, kind of that Mahomes likes to do a lot. When we let him do that, he's awesome. And he showed that
Yeah.
in the Chargers game, and he showed that yesterday. I mean, this is now 2 straight games where the game has been won or lost because of how he played. Now, obviously, against the Chargers, I think his role played a lot more yesterday, with how poorly the Rams played. Do our defense, and maybe if Dak has an off game, do we still get out of there with the win? Probably. But the fact that the Rams, who as of now are probably not a great team, the fact that we did exactly what we challenged them to do and said, take care of business. This is a team that you should beat. And they did exactly that. Didn't leave a ton of questions. There's really nothing to complain about for
Absolutely.
an offensive standpoint.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And shifting to the other side of the ball, I want to take a little time to give our special teams and John Bones Fassel absolute credit. I think it's not even fucking close that we have the best special teams in the game, whether it is field goal block, our field goal kicker, our punt block, our punter, our kickoff, and our kick return.
right.
I don't remember anyone. Like Brandon Aubrey made the Pro Bowl last year. Almost every one of his punts
Brian
are
Anger.
fair caught.
No,
Or yeah,
you said Brendan Aubrey, who will make
yeah,
the Pro Bowl. Well, he won't be in the Pro Bowl, but he'll be
yeah,
first. He'll be first team All Pro this year.
yeah.
So.
Turpin looks like he is going to break one out. He should have had one yesterday, and I'm so freaking pissed. It was
He
an
almost had two.
what?
He almost had two.
Yeah, and one of them get called back for across the field holding. It's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But he's due. He's due.
Mhm.
And just a little special stat for Mr. Lehman. I know he's listening right now. Is one of our punt gunners was in fact our second round pick 2 years ago, Sam Williams. So we had a 6'4", 262-pound defensive end working at gunner who on two of our punts, one of them he had the tackle and one of them he forced the fair catch, and his max speed on those punts was 19.27 miles per hour and 19.74 miles per hour. That is a defensive end that we have at punt gunner. Just man, like some days you're gonna have to win ugly, and honestly, I have the utmost faith out of any of our units in our special teams, and that's such a weird thing to
Agreed.
say,
Agreed.
but like our special teams is the Patrick Mahomes of specialty. It's like the Tom Brady of
Yeah.
special teams.
It's just
Like
undisputed.
no one's
Yeah.
close to our unit. Like
Yeah.
we've had a field goal block, multiple punt blocks, fake field goals. Like we're setting like
Yeah.
records, but with our special teams this year, and it's just
Yeah.
pretty crazy. And I just wanted to take a chance to stop and just say, like, I don't know if this is a hot take. We have the best special teams in the game, and it's not even close.
I don't even think it's a hot take. I think that's just a fact. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how you measure special team success other than like splash plays, but if you want to go by splash plays, whether that's like blocks or big returns, like it's pretty tough to argue that we're not the best. I mean, they set the tone opening night on when we blocked the field goal, and Noah Igbenogany, who was a Dolphin 72 hours before that game, had the first touchdown of our season. Like
Yeah.
they set the tone early, and they've been awesome. So,
Yeah.
but that's
And
an
so
awesome stat about Sam Williams. That is so cool. My dad's
yeah,
gonna
so
love
shout out
that.
John Bones Fassel. I mean, I I I would go as far as saying just the glue guy of the team, you know? Because
Yeah.
throwback to when the 49ers were trying to mess up Brett Maher before the game, it was John Bones Fassel that stepped in between Trent Williams
Yep.
and Brett Maher. So he's got that dog in him. He's got that
Mm-hmm.
dog.
We got that
And
dog in him.
Mr. Lehman, let me know if you agree with that, because that's a crazy stat.
I
And
definitely will.
just going to our defense, I was a little worried before the game, and of course, not everyone listening to this is in the group chats that me, Bennett, and the rest of the Cowboy friends are. But I really thought it was going to be a shootout, and I was pleasantly surprised. Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup were almost non-existent, and I mean, shit, it is so time to start saying Deron Bland's a top 5 corner. It is so time to start just batting the drums. And even Brian Baldinger was like, if there was someone to be crowned midseason MVP for the Cowboys, it is Deron Bland. And I couldn't agree more. He has,
Yeah.
4 interceptions, and 3 of them are pick sixes. The NFL record in one season is 4. And he's on pace for 6.
Yeah.
That's just nuts. Just
Yeah.
nuts. And I just want to shout out our defense for all the love and hate that this podcast specifically might throw at some of our players, especially. We have not allowed a pass catcher or a rusher to eclipse 100 yards in any game this season. And so
we'll have to bring that up on Thursday because there's a certain Philadelphia Eagle that has a
yeah,
very historic streak going on right now. So
yeah, we'll get to that. But
yeah.
I mean, to go on and completely obliterate a Sean McVay run offense, given outside of Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and Tyler Higbee and Matt Stafford, not much talent, I would say. But it's still, this is a team that beat Seattle. A bunch of the media were hyping them up for a while as a top 10 team in the league. And so this is nothing to bat in. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to bat an eye at, and don't let people convince you otherwise. Sean McVay's won a Super Bowl before. That is a Super Bowl caliber offensive play caller, and Dan Quinn was in his bag. I just want to go out and say, damn, I was so right on Marquise Bell. He is a dog for only getting what I think it was 3 total weeks of preseason work at linebacker. He's filled in perfect. And as for an undersized guy I think he went to Florida A&M.
I'll double check that. Keep going.
Yeah, Florida A&M or A&T. He is the number 1 graded linebacker in the NFL, according to PFF. Just let that sink in. He was an undrafted free agent who we made a little splash on in the UDFA signings. Did you double check the college?
Florida A&M.
Yeah, I'm in my bag. Shit. But just what a dog. And I was talking to Burke about this before the podcast started. And obviously we're in win now and a strong contender this year, so we don't want to look too far in advance. That's why you guys pay me the money to look far in advance. Overshawn and Marquise Bell, that is a great linebacker duo, maybe an undersized one, but shit, it's working right now. And I just love the way he plays. Not only in the run game, where he has 17 defensive stops, which is crazy. Stops is like inside 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. And he has 17. But he is a safety when it comes to pass coverage.
Yeah.
And so in zone and man, he's one of the better pass coverage linebackers because he's not a linebacker. And it's just great. And when he's playing well, our defensive line played well. Our safeties played well. Shout out Jaron Curse. He finally had that game where I'm like, damn, thank God he's kind of flipped that switch. Donovan Wilson played well. And, man, just Deron Bland. I'll let you get from there. I'm going on a tangent right now. So, Berkey, I know we're the main narrative pushers of this, but just how excited are you to have Deron Bland on this team?
Yeah, excited is a good word. The other word I would use is eternally grateful because without him, especially after the Diggs injury, I don't know where this team would be right now. He's been awesome. Spanky already said it, top 5 corner in football. I would even go as far to say that as of right now, as of right this second, as the time of us making this video, 6:32 p.m. Central, on October 30th, 2023, he's the best corner in the NFL as of right this second. And numbers really back it up. I mean, I saw the stat today. I'm sure you saw it too, but do you know who the only 2 cornerbacks in NFL history are to have 9 interceptions through their first 24 games?
Are both of them playing with the star on their helmet, Bennett?
They both are.
Yeah, I'll let you say the punchline because I don't want to spoil it.
Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs. And what makes the stat even crazier is that Deron Bland didn't have his first NFL start until week 12 of last season. And he has 9 interceptions. He has 3 pick sixes this year. Did he have? Might have had 1 or 2 last year. I don't remember. I
I
feel
think he
like he
had
did.
one for sure last year.
Yeah. So the guy, I mean, he's so good. And like I said, I don't know where we would be without him, genuinely. And that Baldinger tweet is spot on. I think he is the MVP of the Dallas Cowboys this year. It's pretty tough to argue that it would either be him or probably CD. But to this
Yeah.
point, I mean, Deron Bland has been the best player on our defense. If the season ended right now, he would be a first team All Pro. He'd be a Pro Bowler. I mean, he's been otherworldly. He not even just the pick sixes. Like it's not like, oh, he's just getting pick sixes. That's what people talk about him. He has the lowest passer rating allowed in the NFL
He's a
through
lockdown
8 weeks.
corner and a ball
Yeah,
hawk in one.
yeah. Like
And he's
he's
also phenomenal in run support on that one tackle on Cooper Kupp in the tunnel screen too.
exactly like he plays with the physicality of a safety or a linebacker, and he has the coverage skills and ball skills of a true lockdown corner, which is just incredible. He's just so awesome, and you know, I just I'm just running out of words to describe him. Like he's just so good, and he's been such a revelation for this team. He's been a guy last year. He was kind of an unsung hero a little bit. He was a guy that we were like, he was awesome last year, but let's see how he does with the bigger role this year. He has taken that bigger role, grabbed it by the fucking horns, and absolutely destroyed it. I mean, he's been awesome. That's just the best way to put it. He's awesome. He's the best corner in the NFL right now. I don't really care who else you're gonna throw out there. He's the best corner in football right now. And a big thing about him is that, when he has those pick sixes, when our secondary is flying around, it opens things up for our pass rush. I mean, yesterday's game script put into our hands perfectly. Like get a big lead, force them to beat us through the air, let our pass rush get going, letting the big dogs eat, letting the secondary just fly around and make plays. A lot of big hits. I mean, it was just awesome. Defense was awesome. Dan Quinn, like you said, was in his duffel bag yesterday. He was incredible. Just an all around great game by our defense. Just like you said, Sean McVay, a Super Bowl winning coach. It's not like he's, Matt Eberflus and he's clueless and is just trying to scrap together like, making garbage out of trash. Like he's a great coach. He's an offensive genius. And yesterday, Dan Quinn made him look pretty average. So pretty awesome
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah. And just I love what you said. It's just went so according to our game script. And once we have a lead and once we're able to get to that 10 mark, 14-point mark of a lead and teams are forced to try to beat us through the air, they're fucked. And the only weakness of our team is teams like San Fran, where they're going to try to wind you down. But it's all dependent on just how well we're playing. And it could go completely different. But I'm so looking forward to this matchup on Sunday Night Football of 26 versus 11, because that's got to be the matchup. And I don't want to hide from it. I don't want to get too far in advance, but that's the matchup I want to watch. And I just saw a stat. Micah Parsons had a 50% pass rush win rate against the Rams. And for someone who's not going to fill the box score every week, unfortunately, because he gets double teamed, triple teamed, chipped, running
Held.
back help, slide protected, held, and forces the quarterback to step up, and the other dogs will eat. But Micah Parsons is just such a game changer, and we're so lucky to have him. And you got to take him being a live streamer, 23-year-old, 24-year-old, just kid with a grain of salt when he's probably going to get paid the biggest defensive player contract in the history of the National Football League. And sure, is he Hall of Fame in every single facet of football? Not yet, but he's a guy that is just continuing to improve every single week, and it's just such a joy to have. And wow. Yeah, I'm at a loss of words because really there's nothing to really split hairs about this performance. Their touchdown was like we held them to like 5 plays inside our 10, and they just got the first down and ran it in before half, and Cooper Kupp got one, but it's not even like people are going to try to downplay this, but this Sean McVay is the next coming of an Andy Reid style coach, and
Yeah.
to shut down an offense like his is near impossible. The Eagles won by like 9 points. They beat the Seahawks, and the Niners beat this team by 6 points. And there wasn't a moment after the opening Cowboys touchdown where I'm like, we're losing this game, or
Right.
I'm at a loss of words, and that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. This Cowboys team could be different tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah.
But for this moment in time, if Jerry Jones and co want to stay put and trust your guys, I might have done a 180 and say, okay, like, fuck it, we ball,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as much as I hate to admit that, it's just like we do have the talent, and
We
like
do.
every team, we do have holes. So it's just we got to have our guys perform. And yesterday they performed on all 3 facets of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to put it. And so kind of shifting into our next segment here. Um, you mentioned obviously performing well in all 3 facets of the game. We did win. So this week, since we already kind of said that there's really nothing bad, I decided instead of great, good, and bad, we'll do great, good, and mediocre this week. They earned that.
Okay.
But let's get started here. So we got our great, good, and our mediocre, and I'm curious to hear what you've got.
My great would be our passing offense, and that should be obvious. 488, 3 and 87 balled out. Our offensive line, barring that first drive sack issue, was phenomenal, and that was without our Hall of Fame left tackle. Keep in mind,
Yeah.
and so I think that's a pretty clear great. My good will be shutting down the Rams passing offense. I thought, and I texted in the group chat people that Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are going to combine for like 200 plus yards. That's how like not confident. I wouldn't say lacking confidence, but just understanding how good Sean McVay is at scheming his players open.
Mhm.
And and we just shut them down entirely. And it was a passing game script for the Rams. So that's great to see. And my mediocre, we already touched on it, but it would be our run scheme right now. And that's why
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's like the mediocre part. Sure, Pollard had, I think, 53 yards on 12 touches. That equates to 4.4 yards a carry. But it's just we need to utilize our running backs to their strength more. And if we're going to run it up the middle, I'd rather go with Dowdle up the middle than see Pollard run it up the middle, because I think Pollard's a great at being the change of pace outside running back. And so, maybe there needs to be a discussion to get more touches on Dowdle. So when the third and fourth quarter rolls around and the defender's legs are a bit tired, Pollard comes in on an outside zone play and could house it. But I don't want to say, and like I said before, I don't want to say our rushing game, I'm panicked yet, because 4.4 yards a carry, I'm taking that every single day of the week. But
Yeah.
we just need to improve our scheme to utilize Tony Pollard's strength a bit more.
Mhm. I love that. Those are three good picks. Those are probably gonna be similar to mine. So I'll pivot here. For the great, already talked about it, but I mean, just the defense as a whole, specifically Deron Bland. Um, I mean, just awesome. Very, very impressed yesterday. It was a game where they had to show up, and I mean, everyone did show up. Micah did his thing, almost had 2 sacks, had the one. Deron Bland picked 6. Jaron Curse played well. Marquise Bell is most underrated player in the NFL. Another really good game from him. Marcus Lawrence had a couple TFLs and got inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. So really big day for him. And then for our good, I'll go with um, I'll go with I'll just say with our offense, I'll say Brandon Cooks. He was good yesterday. A very good game from him. Not great. I don't think we've seen, Brandon Cooks' peak Cowboys moment yet. At least I would hope we haven't seen it yet. But it's just further showing, I think his numbers are just going to keep going up every week as he starts to earn Dak's trust, really locks in with him in terms of chemistry. And I think that move is going to be one that we look at down the line this season, and we're going to look at how that paid dividends. So a very good game from Brandon Cooks. Not great, but he's getting there. I believe in him. Then for the mediocre,
He's emerging as Dak's, not to cut you off,
yeah,
but I just thought of it. He's emerging as the safety blanket for Dak.
Mhm.
And like what you said, it's third down, fourth down, he's getting the ball. So
Yeah.
it's just great to see Dak and him building chemistry. And it's also great to see that Brandon Cooks, when shit wasn't going right and he wasn't getting the touches, that he didn't pull a diva mode on the team and he took it on the chin like a veteran and just kept grinding. And it's looking like it's paying off. The chemistry's building.
Yeah. Yeah. And for mediocre, not really much to nitpick about. Penalties were down this week, which was great to see. Not a ton of penalties. The one that Bashawn Bright got called for the hold on the Turpin return hurts, especially because it was on the other side of the field. That hurts. But I mean, still, if it was a game that we win by 6 points or maybe a game that we lose, we look at that as a bigger play. But when you win by 23 and it really wasn't even that close. Like it was a more dominant win than even the score showed. That's nitpicking, so I'm not going to do that. But for the mediocre, I'll just say the offensive line as a whole. I mean, you already touched on it, and I'm not going to put too much into it just because again we didn't have Tyron Smith, and whether that's Kawhi Leonard load management, just because I mean we all know what next week is and type of D line that we're going to be going against. So whether that's just resting him, getting him ready for next week, that's fine. Thought it was going to be a long day after the opening drive when Dak got planted 3 times, but only 2 of them counted. Thought it was going to be a long day. Run game still isn't quite there yet. I think part of that's due to the O line, but again, not too worried about it. So that's my mediocre. Um, just to kind of wrap things up here, it's our favorite segment, Cover Zero Takes. I've got I've got 2 probably that I've probably already kind of said, but do you have anything off the dome or you just want me to go?
Besides, we have the best special teams in and the NFL. I'll let you say it because it's probably what I would say.
John Bland is the best cornerback in the NFL.
Boom.
And then
Boom.
I also want to say, I already said it when I was hyping up our defense, but Marquise Bell is the most underrated player in football. He's the best player in football that no one knows about.
I love it.
Yeah.
They'll learn.
Oh, they're gonna
They'll
learn.
learn.
They're gonna learn. If
They're
they
gonna learn
haven't,
today.
yeah. If they don't know who number 14 is now that I finally don't see him as Jabril Cox anymore, they're gonna know who he is. So, um, but I think that pretty much about wraps up. Unless you got anything else you want to add, real quick.
I'm all set.
Okay. Well, we should be back on Thursday. Should have the full crew plus hopefully a special guest. We're still figuring out some scheduling details, but should be the full panel plus that special guest. Not gonna give too much away, but it is the guy that we were supposed to have on for the Chargers week, and the schedule conflict didn't quite work out. So we're hoping it works out better this week. Working on that right now. We'll certainly keep y'all updated. If it's just us three on Thursday, then there's probably another scheduling conflict. But he's a great guy, so I know he's going to do what he can to try to make it work for us. But as always, thank you guys so much for listening and joining us today. And please be sure to follow us on our socials, X and TikTok, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, X, TikTok, or X, Twitter, and our TikTok, all the same at Dallas BC Pod. Wow, that was brutal. Instagram at Dallas BC Podcast. Feel free to email us for bookings, inquiry, sponsorships. The boys are buzzing. The boys are open to hearing out ideas. So feel free to email us at podcastdbc@gmail.com. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. Just search Dallas Ballers Club, should be probably the first thing that pops up. So feel free to give us a listen on all those platforms. But until Thursday, Cowboys Nation, enjoy this Victory Monday. You earned it, whether you think you did or not. Whether it was by going to the game or sitting on the couch like we were and soaking it all in, you earned it. So enjoy this Victory Monday. For all of our DFW area listeners, go Rangers tonight. And we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Boom! Boom, 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 boom.